Welcome to another episode of Viking Voices, the People of Princeton. I'm Tom Burton, Superintendent of Princeton City Schools, and very proud to represent this amazing school district. So today we have some amazing people that are going to be joining us, but I really wanted to just take and pay a little tribute to some people behind the scenes that are doing some work. We have a tremendous partnership with ICRC. Jason Dudley, I know you're behind the scenes right now making this happen. So thank you very much. Our Director of Technology, Chris Lockhart, is here making sure that everything's okay on our end. So obviously, Chris, thank you so much. Trisha Roddy, who actually last week, was able to get two great interns. So Kelsey and Jasmine, thanks so much for joining us as well. And Trisha, all the preparation, all the great work you've done. But with us today right now is a consultant that we've utilized before, and Catrice Kate. And she's done amazing work throughout the course of this year. And we had an opportunity to meet her several years ago. And trust me, in a very short period of time, you're going to see why we're so proud to partner with Catrice. And then our preschool 12, pre-K 12 Executive Director of Curriculum, Miss Tanya West-Wright, who's been with the district several years, the last 5 in central office, and has really helped us move forward, done an amazing job. She's going to talk about preschool and kindergarten, but first we're going to jump right into it and introduce Catrice and talk a little bit about some of the current situations that are going on in our country. Now, we do understand that currently, right now, where we are, Facebook Live, that people are watching this in real time. This is also going to be videotaped, so just so we can put a timestamp on this, this event is happening today, June 25th. We are going to reference a board meeting later on, June 22nd. So when I talk about the dates every once in a while, this is all for people not joining us today, but for people that are joining us on ICRC, on the cable station, or watching it on our website or YouTube down the line. So with that being said, several months ago now, there were several situations that took place. One of them, obviously, being the coronavirus, that it came to pass and really a country shut down, specifically Ohio and Princeton City schools. It wasn't long after that once again, behavior of other people highlighted the racism that we still have in our country, the injustice that we still have in our country. The deaths of Breonna Taylor, the deaths of George Floyd and others, really highlighted again this continual racist behavior, and if you're a person of color, how inequitable and unequal things are. So with that being said, there's a statement that we put out shortly thereafter. We were most concerned, obviously, about people internally and providing space for teachers and students and staff, and talking administratively and seeing and making sure that we will put our best foot forward. We are Princeton, the most diverse school district in the state of Ohio, as noted by niche.com. And so we know that we live in a world, unfortunately, that is unjust. And again, for the last year, we've worked with Catrice and led by Dr. Mary Phillips, the equity team, and there's great work that's been done in our district. And I will say this, that the most diverse school district in the state of Ohio, we've been doing work, we continue to do work. And if we need to do work, everybody needs to do work. And quite frankly, we were blessed to be able to contract with Catrice this year, and after meeting her several years ago. So Catrice, welcome to the program. Certainly appreciate not only joining us today, but the unbelievable work you did last year and next year and the year after. And let me just keep throwing it out, and the year after and the year after. So Catrice, welcome. Can you just talk maybe a little bit about, in general, some of your thoughts, and then kind of go a little bit deeper with what we as Princeton did and how you helped us create some space, and then what some future plans are.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. So as Tom shared, my name is Catrice Kate, and I'm a consultant with Hamilton County Educational Servicing Center. And I've had the pleasure of working in Princeton this past school year, so the 2019-20 school year, and working directly with with their equity team that has several different positions, different levels, different identities represented. So on the equity team, there are administrators, there are paraprofessionals, there are classroom educators, there are central office staff, and there's representation from each of the buildings. One of the incredible things in bringing that diverse set of perspectives and voice to the table has been the amount of learning and growing as a community that they have done. So initially when we started our work together, I was a stranger, very much coming in as a stranger to be able to support what it truly meant to create spaces that were equitable and inclusive. And a significant part of that work is really thinking about what belonging looks like for each of our learners. So as we think about belonging, that's a piece that's often left out of conversations when we talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity. And when we talk about belonging, that means that we have to be trauma informed. We have to create spaces that focus on the individual learner and what they need in a space to feel safe, welcome, valued across all of those differences. And what we're currently experiencing in our country is not something that is new. As Tom spoke briefly in the introduction, what we are now seeing is a product of modern technology, what's been able to be captured by cell phones. But really what we know, especially as communities of color, is that for centuries, these are things that have been happening, but there has not always been a way to capture or record what is happening. And now we have modern technology that gives us a glimpse into all of the things, lead into that discomfort and have those difficult conversations to talk about what we do as a school district to help support what those conversations look like in a developmentally appropriate way in the classroom. Because as an educator, I cannot support you if I do not understand the complexity of your identity. I cannot support you and create spaces of belonging and really authentic spaces of learning if I do not recognize what you may deal with on a daily basis. I have to acknowledge and see you and your identity and who you are in order to really create a space where you can learn and grow as an individual. So really when we think about this work, and it's often said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Tom, I'm glad that you have co-signed that you will have me for several years because our work is just beginning. We just literally scratched the surface this year and really started to develop that community in terms of how do we engage in these conversations. So often we want to push them into the classroom with our students, but we don't do the work ourselves. We have to be willing to engage in the work ourselves in order for that to be a productive space for our students in the classroom. So that was really our focus this year, is digging deep into understanding who we are and ways in which we have all been complicit within a system that is broken. It is not designed to serve everyone. So that has really been our work this year, and I'm looking forward to spending even more time in the district next year to continue working and supporting the equity team.
So, Catrice, when we talked all throughout this year, but then specifically at the very end when these horrific events were taking place, and it really, again, highlighted a centuries-old issue that we still have. Is some 155 years ago that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, but yet still it's taken multiple legislative acts to still try to say that what we're serious, that all people are created equal and should be treated equal, but it still hasn't happened. So when we look at some of these kind of fundamental issues and what we're really kind of trying to struggle with as a country, and everybody is really needs to stand up, and we stand against racism and we stand with anti-racism, and you are either racist or you're anti-racist. And I know some people who may be listening, or whether it's right now live or down the line, that's going to offend you. And here's my call to you. If what I said offends you, then maybe it's time to take a deeper look. And some of you may actually used to like me after my comment I just made. And listen, I'm okay with that, because ultimately we have to do things differently. We have to, for us to grow and actually live in a world that was intended when our forefathers came over. Some of our forefathers actually came over from England. So with that being said, Patrice, I know one of the things that's really, really important to you, to me, Dr. Phillips, Tanya, and so many people in Princeton was to be able to create space for staff and create space for students. Can you specifically talk about the 2 sessions you had with staff?
Yeah, so part of it is, as we think about the equity team, Princeton is much larger than the subset of a team. So it was really important to seek out perspectives and create space for folks to just process what was happening so often in the systems in which we're conditioned and we work in. It is a day-to-day hum of our job, and really what we're experiencing is a lot of trauma. And I can speak specifically for myself and my family as a person of color. It's hard to do your job when there is trauma that is occurring daily. So part of the charge, or part of the space that we were able to create for staff, were just some open and honest conversations about, what do you need right now? How can we create spaces of healing? What conversations are you currently having? What are you thinking about as we plan for re-entry and reopening in the fall? What does that look like? And what do you need as an individual staff member to be able to support students? So we held 2 sessions, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, if my memory is serving me correctly. So about 2 weeks ago, we had roughly about 125 staff members that joined in the call just to talk and discuss openly about their experiences as individuals, as well as professionally in the district, and where they would like to see, what they would like to see happen next, in terms of really having some open, honest conversations and some action as we think about what it means to be anti-racist as educators and as professionals. So beyond just having the conversation, really thinking about what happens next. How do we change the system? How do we look at our policies, our practices and procedures? What is not working, and what do we do about that as we move forward in this work?
Thank you very much. And a little technical issue with the camera, so let's see if this works okay. Yeah, change of that. All right, so the staff piece, and it was amazing. And I know the people that attended were very appreciative of that. And we know that creating more space like that, it's going to be critical. So we have some other opportunities in July. I know we're still working on some dates, but for those people that are watching, please know that you're going to always be able to find what we're going to do with the conversation on social media. You can specifically go to our website. We're going to do all calls in our community when it comes to, and make sure all of our staff knows, but then specifically all calls in the community to talk about the space for students. And I know, Catrice, that was something that really, I mean, I couldn't get you off the phone, Catrice, afterwards. I mean, it was unbelievable. I left feeling so great after hearing the amazing story. So can you just go a little bit deeper about the whole student piece, because that's why we're in the business?
Absolutely. So it's often the voice and the perspective that we go to last. We do 2, we do 4, but we do not stand alongside with our learners who have the best feedback and the most direct experience within our schools and our districts. So it was really powerful to create space for them to come together and to just talk about similar conversations that we had with staff. But as we think about race and racism, what have their experiences been as young people currently in what we are experiencing in our world, but then also as they think about their schooling experience. So that was an invitation that went out, I think, to 6th through 12th graders. We had the majority of the students on the call, the student leaders on the call were from high school. And what they really talked about is their experiences in the district, what they hope to see change, and what they want next as a part of creating this space to talk. And they were very clear in what they were asking for, what they felt like they needed. It was beautiful to allow them to really take charge of the call. I just was a co-facilitator, and they really ran with the conversation. They were really vulnerable, and they talked about their experiences currently in the past, and they spoke to educators that were able to help support some of those conversations in the classroom. But then really what organically grew out of the conversation is that they really wanted a regular space to have conversations around race and racism and really talk about what's currently happening in our world. And so often we're fearful, I think, as educators, and then also as parents, because I'm a mother myself, I fearful that our kids aren't old enough to be a part of these conversations. And what we know, what the research tells us and shows us, is that from a very young age, kids see differences in terms of color. And what we have to be able to do is to teach them to have empathy, to teach them to acknowledge that there are differences. And what does that mean in our world? We can't move away from those conversations, but we have to walk bravely towards those conversations and give them the tools to engage in critical dialogue. And the reality of it is that as adults, we don't often have those tools. So it's really fearful for us to walk into these conversations where we feel like we aren't the experts and we don't have the answers. But the reality of it is our kids are asking us for these spaces. And if we can show up authentically and say, I want to be a part of this learning and conversation, we don't always have to have the answers, but to allow them to lead the conversations and to walk alongside with them and not to do the work for them, and support them in what they need and what tools and resources that we're able to provide, but making sure that we don't overstep and we allow them to really have some leadership opportunity. Hearing from our kids is really, really powerful. It is truth. It is the honesty that we all need to hear. But we have to be ready to sit and be reflective in that feedback, because we've done a lot of things that are harmful, that do not help support their identity development and how they are going to move forward and really they are the leaders of the world right now. Their voices are really powerful if we take the time to stop and listen to them.
Thanks, Catrice. And Catrice, I never shared this video with you. I'm upset that I didn't do it, but a couple of years ago, we did a really good video. It's not a good video, it's a great video. It's entitled This is Princeton. And it was all based on This Is Me. And when I watched it the other day, I went back. I remembered everybody talked about the beautiful tapestry of diversity we have at Princeton and how important it was. And for those people who have not seen it, if you go to our website, you'll be able to find it. Just simply titled This is Princeton. And in fact, if you probably just Google it, This is Princeton, and in Ohio, you'll probably be able to find the video. And these are all students talking, a couple staff members, but the students that talk specifically about the beautiful tapestry of diversity and how important it is in each student's life. So for us to be able to create a space to talk about some fears, anxieties, frustrations, hopes, dreams, etc., it's critical. And while the teachers in our district have really done an amazing job and do create space for students from time to time in classrooms, or whether it's a lunchroom or when they're advising an activity or so forth, we're going to be very, very deliberate by creating space outside of the traditional school day like we did, and Catrice ran that. And again, thank you so much, Catrice. But then specifically to have us do something that's not going to be, you've been hearing a lot about this. This is not a moment. This is a movement. And so we need to continue to have these conversations, and we're going to. The equity team is alive and well. It has been alive and well, and we're doing great work. So, Catrice, I certainly appreciate you joining us. But before you go, Tom, you had an opportunity to participate in the equity team. Can you share a few thoughts about your experience there?
Yes, I would love to share a few thoughts. I was very thankful. I enjoyed participating with the teachers. That was powerful, and being able to hear from the teachers at all different grade levels, and the fact that they volunteered and wanted to be a part of the space. That made a huge difference. And to be able to talk about what can we do next, what can really happen, and what are those action steps we can take so that our schools are safe places for all students. But the conversation that Catrice mentioned, I believe it was last week or maybe just 2 weeks ago, the students. The students were so powerful in their words, in their experiences. I was able to relate from a personal level of some of the things that they were talking about. And I would say that one of the reasons that I became an educator is to make sure that all students felt safe in the school environment and all students had that quality education, were able to experience what that feels like to have doors open because you have the skills that are needed. So listening to them really was powerful for me. I believe that those children are young adults, or I don't know what they want to be referred to, but they are leaders. They have been empowered. They were clearly telling us what they want to see in their school building next year. And I believe everyone on the call is determined to make sure that we make that happen, because it is in our power to make it happen. And they clearly stated that that is what they need to have a more successful high school experience. And we know that also would apply to the middle school. We didn't have the middle school students weren't as vocal, but they definitely felt that need, that they wanted to talk about current events. And so many times in our curriculum, maybe we only get to one stage. Maybe we made the civil rights movement, but have we ever made it past the civil rights movement in our history classes? And they really wanted to hear what was going on currently and be able to express their thoughts. So I appreciate Catrice for facilitating those conversations. It is so powerful sometimes to have someone that's not working directly with the students or teachers, so that people are more open to share their thoughts and determine next steps. So we thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, here we go. There you go. I don't know what you heard or not. We had a little technical issue there. So I apologize for the people listening on live. If you have to listen to this again, those people will never need to listen. So anyway, here we go. So myself and Chris Lockhart and Dr. Mary Phillips had an opportunity to go to Toronto to take part in the whole big equity study. We went there, we learned. And one of the things that was really impactful to us was the intentional nature of talking about equity, talking about the importance of diversity. And while we live that, we say we live it every day, and it's in our strategic plan and so forth. We really need to make sure that we're very intentional about that. So we're going to do that. We're going to be very intentional at meetings, and we're going to continue to live it, but we're going to make it even more prevalent. And then on top of that, we're fortunate enough to have Catrice be part of the strategic plan. And so she's been a part. We have another community member, Marissa McCoy, who's done a great job as well. And they're really reaching out, getting a lot of input from community members. But our equity, what we believe in our equity plan, will be embedded throughout our new strategic plan as we unveil that later on this summer. So Catrice, once again, thank you so much for being first and foremost who you are and having the courage to lead like you have for years and years and years, and then specifically for allowing us to contract with you, and then extending that next year as well, and then in the future. You do amazing work, and we certainly appreciate that. So on behalf of the Board of Education, on behalf of all of our entire district, and most especially the students that we serve, Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining Viking Voices, the people of Princeton.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll be calling you later. Thank you. So Tanya Westwright. Tanya was a principal in this district, came to Princeton with a wealth of experience, was elementary principal at Evendale, did an amazing job there, took the director of teaching and learning for elementary position, and for 5 years done an amazing job. And now we're blessed to have her, all of her experience, everything she does, and we're going to expand that circle of influence, if you will, all the way throughout preschool through K, through first grade, second grade, and then in the middle school, and then the high school. So we're very fortunate, pre-K-12. So Tanya, welcome, and thank you again for not only being here today, but also for sharing your impression of the work of the equity team as well. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and excited to talk about preschool and kindergarten. But I'm also very excited about the opportunity to utilize my experiences. My educational career started at the secondary level, so it's very exciting to be able to work with preschool through 12th grade.
Yeah. So thank you. And I know, Tanya, we've talked before, and, it kind of rolls off the tongue to say K-12. It does. And it's not right, because there's a whole nother group of students, a whole nother group of staff, a whole nother group of parents that you talk to them, they're going to say, hey, you need to continue to talk about preschool. So I know we've talked about that before. So talk a little bit about the importance of preschool and maybe a push for our community to maybe get some more students in our preschool program.
Absolutely. We have an outstanding preschool program that has been long-standing in the district. And I do want to thank the Princeton City School District and the preschool teachers for really educating me on all that preschool can offer and all that we are able to offer to our community. So we currently have preschool programs at Evendale, Springdale, Stewart, and Woodlawn. If you live in any of our communities, your child, as when they turn 3, if they're 3 on or before October 1st, they can join our preschools. So we really try to prioritize our 4-year-olds, but it is such a powerful experience. Our preschools are rated with 5 stars for Step Up to Quality, which is the highest rating. But again, the experiences that the students can achieve, they have to know what school feels like. They have to know how to socialize and play with their peers. They have to know how to leave their parent. As a mother, that was really hard for me to let my child leave and experience what it was to be in a classroom with another adult and other peers. But it means the world to those kids. And by the time they finish preschool, they are ready not only academically, but also socially for kindergarten. And kindergarten readiness it makes such a huge difference. It is sometimes very difficult if you don't come to kindergarten ready, it can be a challenge for you. Our staff of kindergarten does an outstanding job, but we want to make sure that the students have as much benefit as possible. As we look into next year, preschool will be offered Monday through Thursday. We'll have an AM session and a PM session. There is a fee for some students, but we also have a sliding fee scale, and we do have an ECE grant for qualifying students who are 4 years old. We have spots available in our preschool, but we really need you to sign up quickly. The state has now said that the preschool number of students for AM and PM sessions is 9 students. It used to be 18. So at this time, with our new regulations with COVID, we have 9 AM and 9 PM per teacher. So those slots are filling up fast. We want as many preschool students as we can have. So please be sure to sign up. You can sign up by calling 864-1113. Again, if you could please sign up and register your preschooler, the number is 864-1113.
So, Tom, you hit on so many great points there for sure. I wanted to elaborate on a couple of them. So one is, as you were talking, I was thinking, boy, I bet you parents want to ask questions about fees. I bet you parents want to ask questions about transportation. I bet you all these questions. So there's so many questions that we know may be coming. We're trying to make sure that we have all of that information all delineated as quickly as you can. There's some, as Tanya spoke about, one thing for sure is we're not going to have more than 9 right now. Right now, we know we're not going to have more than 9. Now, later on, there may be some other issues or some other different regulations and guidance that comes out where we're going to be able to increase the number of students. So right now, we need you to do that. For those parents, guardians that may have questions, we will have a guidance document on our website, and that's the easiest thing to do is go on the website first to look for information regarding programming and specific questions. So we have what's called an FAQ, frequently asked questions section. So we'll be able to put something on there. Now, there's supposed to be an announcement tomorrow or later on today, or perhaps next week, that may change some of this. So again, the date stamp on this Facebook Live event, which is also being recorded, is June 25th. So we feel an announcement may come today or tomorrow, or for sure next week, that may change some of the guidance. So we really need to look for that guidance before we put out a frequently asked question document on our website. So give us a couple, 3-4 days, and we'll make sure we get that on there, which questions about fees, but we already have that information on the sliding fees, but you may have some additional questions regarding that. Tanya, did it hit some of the thoughts about that maybe some of the parents may have?
Absolutely. I think you hit a lot of those points. And I think the critical thing for our parents, for preschool parents and kindergarten parents, so that you're aware of the choices and options, it's really important that you register, because that way you're going to be hearing from the teachers as soon as they get class lists. You'll be hearing from the principals as we continue to get updated information from the state. But if you're not registered, we're not able to communicate with you as effectively. So if you know you want your child to be in preschool or kindergarten with the Princeton district next year, it is so important that you register early, because things are definitely changing this summer, and we want to make sure that you're counted in our numbers.
You know, Tanya, it's interesting when you were just talking about that encouragement to register. And I was thinking, boy, it's important to start early. And I was reminded of a conversation I was in with a gentleman who is slightly older than me by maybe 60 years when I was a young buck in my 20s. And he was talking to me about the importance of early literacy. And he says, after all, if you start early, you start early. And at 25, I'm like, well, what the heck are you talking about? But the earlier you start, the better it is. The earlier you start, everything becomes earlier. So the earlier you come into school and we work with literacy and numeracy, then you're going to be further advanced, and everything is just going to seem to change. It's going to be so much easier down the line. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it will be easier if you start early than if you don't. So thank you again for that great push and everything that you shared regarding preschool and kindergarten. And we know that it's absolutely critical to have that involvement early on. And so Tanya gave you a great number to reach if you have questions. Our website is www.princetonschools.net, and you can get any information there. For those that may be wondering about academic programming this summer, food distribution this summer, all that information is available online. I just want to remind everybody that we are starting with a one-to-one program in grades 9 through 12. If you're in the 8th grade and you're taking high school classes, you will be in that program as well. And that program simply is that you will get a device from school. We're going to do training in August for students that need some additional support. And we are very excited. We're going to scale that program to the middle school and then eventually to grades 5, 4, and 3. So within 3 years, we will be one-to-one, grades 3 through 12. And again, we feel like it's important to have us eliminate the connectivity gap, the device gap, the opportunity gap, which ultimately leads to the achievement gap, which we try to narrow. But you can't narrow the achievement gap until you do something about opportunities, connectivity, and devices. So I will tell you that anybody that needs connectivity in our district next year will get it. There's going to be a couple things that you're going to have to do, but there's not going to be big hoops to jump through, but we're excited about that. And Tanya, can you talk a little bit about like what it means to kind of be connected early on, preschool, kindergarten, or maybe what some advice you have for parents specifically around that.
Yes, one of the things that we are definitely working on for next year is that our kindergarten and preschool students, when they went home to work remotely, when we had to close, so many of them had learned some of those computer skills from school. So they were definitely able to jump on and show their parents how to get into different platforms and how to do activities online. And so that took some excellent preparation and a lot of teaching and instruction from our talented teachers. And so what we want to make sure that we do is give those opportunities to students. And that is why we're really trying to do some safe blended learning so that those early preschool and kindergarten students have an opportunity to be taught some of those basic skills. But we also, at the elementary level and all levels, still feel that it is so important, just the basics, just reading to your child every night, every day, so that they know how to open that book and just look to that, the pictures, and develop those language skills. So yes, technology is important, but just some of those basics of literacy, which is just if we can give you any book. I know the Mobile Book Center has been out and about, them practicing writing numbers and letters, anything that they can do, especially things that they enjoy, because at that age, that is critical. They have to really enjoy it so that it makes it fun and then they want to learn more. But we do start teaching the students technology and expose them to technology beginning in preschool. So.
And Tanya, you brought up such a good point about the importance of turning a page, opening up a book. And as silly as it may seem, but the more you read, the more you read, right? The more you pick up a book, the more you pick up a book. And that's really, really important. So one of the things that the people who work closely with me know and love, they tell me it's very endearing when I make a pretty big statement about something, but then we make it happen. So for anybody watching this, if you need books, while we do have a mobile book center, we're available. They do an amazing, amazing job. In fact, we just recently got a donation, and thank you, Tanya, for helping facilitate that. And folks, this is not hyperbole. We got a donation of 37,000 books. If you need a book and you can't make it to the mobile book center, you can't make it to an elementary school if we do some types of like distribution and some other things. And we don't have that planned right now, but we do know, well, some elementary schools have some drive-by programs. In fact, there's one going on next Monday. And a great program at Lincoln Heights, a great elementary principal, Dawn Bailey, has helped set that up. But there could be some other places. But I'm telling you this right now. You need books, you need stuff, call 513-864-1162. And when I first said that, we realized that was actually our number to our technology department. That's a number that we man all the time. We make sure that we have all kinds of services on that, and Kate does an amazing job down there doing that, but the whole team in the technology department do that. Not one time did anybody complain about that's not my job. We all know at Princeton that, first of all, there is no job too small for any of us to do. And then secondly, that we all have to come together. And just like we stand together, that shirt that all the staff got, community supported and bought so many shirts. In fact, we raised over $3,000 in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, just by the shirt sales that we're going to be able to use for connectivity. We stand together, and it's critical that we continue to do so. So, Tanya, we had a pretty fun Monday night, right? We presented a very detailed plan to the board. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can so that we can look at our plan that we talked about for school reopening. Thank you very much for your patience. We'll be right there. This is certainly the new norm for us as we Zoom and have all kinds of different meetings and so forth. So this is actually Google for those people that don't know it, and I'm going to my Google Drive, and one of the advantages of Google Drive is that it's a huge storage facility. So it's cloud-based, so we'll be able to go here and get a lot of information that we have worked with, that we have talked about. And so right here, you see, all I had to do was type in board, and it brought up any object that had any document, any presentation, any Excel or sheet experience. But here it is, and I'm going to go down, and this was the entire presentation, which again is located on our website, www.princetонschools.net. But I'm going to go down. I just want to highlight very quickly one slide to talk about that. I'm going to ask Tanya to kind of talk a little bit deeper about this. So I appreciate your patience as we go through here. You see that there's a lot of conversation that was going around here. And we are going to get to that slide here momentarily. And do you remember what slide that was? That had the
one that had the options?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say maybe 30.
Okay, well, let's say 30.
But
let's just put it into the world.
I can't see it on my screen, but while you're looking for that,
Okay.
I did want to make sure for kindergarten parents, when we talk about kindergarten registration, we do plan to continue to offer AM sections, PM sections, and full day kindergarten. And the same thing as far as preschool. We just need you to register as soon as possible so that we can keep our class sizes appropriate and make sure you get exactly what you want for your child. So AM and PM for kindergarten.
Thank you, Tanya. And as I was struggling to find that document, if you say you're going to share a screen, you should share a screen. So the screen is shared right now. So here are our options that we talked about at the board meeting, just very, very simply. We want to return to school when it's safe and as normally as possible. So we know that there's guidelines right now that exist that we can't do that. It doesn't mean we won't, but it currently will not be able to return the way that we want to return. But we know through all the surveys of parents and students and staff and community members, look, we want to be with kids. Schools were built to have students in them. Schools were built to have great staff in them, working with great students and so forth. So we want that. If that can't happen, we're going to go with the blended learning, and actually you're going to start hearing more and more about remote learning as a whole capsule, which will include a lot of different aspects of that, but a blended learning model, which means that you're going to come to school some days, and then some days you're going to be learning at home. So you'll be doing remote learning some days you'll be in school. So that's option 2. Now there's a whole lot of things that you may be thinking about, a whole lot of questions you may have. But just generally speaking, we're looking at alphabets. So we're looking at an A week and a B week, and then specifically looking at alphabets, A through L for 1 week, and then M through Z the next week. Tanya, do you want to add anything on that?
Just those are all tentative. We want to make sure that the numbers equal out. So that's just the tentative plan. But as soon as we determine that, we really want to look at that from preschool through 12th grade so that students have an opportunity that if the family is home, that can help with the child care. Because we do understand that there's some constraints with that. So if there's an older sibling that's able to be home, we want that all siblings to be on the same week. So we are working through that. And if there's anything with the last name, we're working through that. So just know with this blended learning opportunity where you have some time in the building and sometimes at home, we want to make sure that your family unit stays together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great point, Tanya. Thanks for jumping in. And then lastly, if for some reason there's major spikes and the state gets shut down or whatever, the last option would be remote learning. Now, I will tell you this, any parent that has any type of concern about sending their son or daughter back to school, and it could be for a lot of reasons, we have an option for you for sure. You could do remote learning. No questions asked. All we are going to ask is that when we send out a survey, and we're going to send out a survey all over everywhere, it will be all over our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll probably do a TikTok. We'll also do, I know Trisha Roddy's excited about doing a TikTok. We're going to do that. We'll also do Facebook. It'll be emailed home. It'll be sent home. It'll be on our website, and we're going to do an all call. We have to get 100% participation. And it's as simple as checking a box that you're going to exercise the remote learning option for at least the first semester. If you know you're going to do it for the full year, then check the box full year, no problem. And then that way we'll be able to plan accordingly. But without that information, it's very, very difficult for us to put forward a very, very detailed plan. So, Tanya, I can't thank you enough for doing everything that you've done over the course of the 5 years that I've known you, but before that, and taking on this new leadership responsibility, and you're going to do amazing work. And Catrice, I think she's still on. Certainly appreciate you not only for coming today, but the work that you have done and will do for us, are doing, and then will do. And then we just want to encourage anybody, if you have questions, concerns, or anything, please reach out. And don't be afraid and don't be worried about copying other people on emails. So if you're an email person, no problem. Send email first to your child's principal if you have questions about school in general. Send it to Tanya if you have questions, K-12 curriculum, no problem. Send to Chris Lockhart. List goes on and on. John Freaky with operations. It can go to so many different people specifically, but ultimately, if you have any question and you're like, I don't even know where to go, you could feel free to send it to me at tburton, B-U-R-T-O-N, at vikingmail.org, or call our hotline again at 513-864-1162. Now, we have unbelievable students in our district. This will probably be the last time that we will not have students on this program. This program was created about the people of Princeton. It was about rising up a community or communities that we serve, and then specifically focusing on the great work that students do, staff do, alums do. And with that in mind, I'm gonna sign off by this. We have a staff member's wife who said to me, boy, I really would like to introduce you to this man. And that is he was a man of great character, did great work, is awesome. And it's just somebody who you would really be impacted by, Tom. And so, bear with me here for a second. I'm just trying to stop sharing my screen here. Thank you very much. So ultimately, the conversation led into this relationship and talking about different people that can impact Princeton. So I get a text message about a podcast that an unbelievable graduate of Princeton put together. And it was about the current state of affairs. It was exceptionally well done. Ashton Hood is a 2010 graduate of Princeton High School. You talk about impressive and someone that wants to change the world and be part of a great movement to have the world be filled with equity, filled with love and compassion and all that. And when we're walking in Glenwood Gardens and I'm learning more about his story and who he is, and that he went to Lehigh and then he graduated from UC Law and all of that. Ashton, if you're paying attention and listening, I'm sorry if you don't want me to share, but you moved me. And as it goes, no matter where we are, we run into other people from Princeton. So we meet Nick, a 2011 graduate of Princeton. He lives in Atlanta, and the great work he's doing down there. And it led to so many other things. And Willie Bennett just sent me a text, and we're going to connect. And he's a 2011 grad and class president of Princeton. The people of Princeton, it is about pulling a community together. And I just mentioned 3 great alums. So you will see them probably very soon at one of the next episodes. But also, for those people out there that are alums, that know great stories, that know great alums, people that have done wonderful, wonderful work, or people you feel just want to be recognized, please make sure you reach out directly to me or go to our website and look for information how you can nominate for Distinguished Alumni Awards. You can nominate for Athletic Hall of Fame. You can nominate for people to just be recognized. And with that being said, I always end one way, and it's always appropriate, because we love Princeton. We know there's a Princeton advantage. We stand strong and we stand proud. And as always, go Vikes.